The Marlins started off the second half of the season with a bang, taking 2 out of 3 from the Royals.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Marlins. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. I've been a diehard Marlins fan since I was 12 years old. I've podcasted about the team for the last 4 seasons. Go hit me up on X at Jeremiah Geiger 2. And thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every single day. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $150 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. And starting the week off right, we got LMF back in the house. LMF, how we doing?
Doing all right. Happy to be back. Missed last Monday. Sorry scheduling didn't work out, but I'm so happy to be back right here Monday morning on Locked On Marlins.
Yeah, excited for this episode. We're going to talk about this series victory over the Royals, including a thrilling come-from-behind walk-off winner on Friday. And then in the second segment, as we get closer to the trade deadline, just 11 days away, we're going to discuss what we would do as fans if we were in charge of the Marlins and their approach to this season's trade deadline. And in the final segment, attendance was incredible this past weekend. So I've been told. I've seen multiple things. So we're going to talk about that. And the fact that the Marlins fans care about baseball. They care about competitive baseball. That's all coming up on today's show. But let's talk about this series win, LMF, because Friday's game, I'm going to say it was a top 5 Marlins moment for me in my fandom. Just the way it happened. And for those of you that follow me on Twitter, that watch the YouTube shorts, you saw my live reaction to the Kyle Stowers walk-off homer. And I kid you not, that was literally, as soon as I hit record and said Kyle Stowers is batting, he hits the homer. I couldn't believe it. It was incredible. Stowers is on fire. This team feels different. They're all bought in. They all believe they can compete. And they start the second half strong. Back-to-back series wins. Right before the All-Star break, 2 out of 3 from Baltimore, 2 out of 3 from the Royals. And I'll take that any day of the week.
Got to beat up on some teams that are of equal talent or a little bit better. But when you get the opportunity to stay hot, stay hot. And really, this team has been hot. And I want to give you some credit here, and I want to give me some credit here. Here are some numbers. On June 4th, you and I had bags over our heads, and the Marlins had just been swept by the Colorado Rockies. They were 23-37 at the time. Since we had bags on our head and we don't have to put them back on, they've won exactly 23 games as of today. So they've doubled their win total since we wore bags on our head, and the fans are showing up, right? That series for the Colorado Rockies, there were 19,000 fans and change that whole series of paid attendance. This series, over 46,000. Congratulations to the Marlins. You are playing out of your mind right now, and it's very fun as fans to watch.
And going to Saturday's game, that was a bit of a different script. You know, Friday was an offensive barn burner. Sandy gives up a 3-run homer. The Royals end up tying it late in the game. It was 7-6 or 7-5 going into the 10th. Augustine makes it 7-6 with an RBI single or double. I can't remember. And then Stowers hits the bomb. But that Saturday game, pitching duel between the legends, Cal Quantrill and Michael Wacha. Who would have expected that? Quantrill with his best start all season for the Marlins. 6 shutout innings. And it was perfect timing for Cal Quantrill. And more about him in the next segment as we discuss the trade deadline. But you know, I was really happy for him and the way that Clayton McCullough handled it. You know, there's been a bit of a taboo, so to speak, when it comes to allowing him to pitch the third time through the order. He can't get through the 6th inning, But in this one, he did so. Just gave up 2 hits and didn't walk anyone. Excellent outing.
It was great to see Quantrill face his old division rival, of course, spending a lot of time, I believe, in Cleveland, where he spent most of his career before the 1 year in Colorado, facing the Kansas City Royals, a team that he's familiar with. He really did well in that game. And the game before, they gave him the opportunity to go through the 6th, and he didn't do well. Obviously, he lost that game. It got blown out of proportion in his inning, and we discussed that already a week and a half ago now. But overall, very proud of Cal. He's building his trade value up. They have to move him. He's a rental. You're not signing him long term. So he's finally eating innings and showing he can get out of that third round through the lineup. So congrats to him. 63 pitches after 5. They had to keep him in. There was no other choice at that time.
Yeah, and I mean, when you're that efficient, that's where it's an easy choice for the manager. It's an easy choice for McCullough to just say, all right, go attack. We got Tyler Phillips in the bullpen just in case, and it worked out. He completed 6. Sunday's game, a little disappointing because I really wanted the sweep, but I am going to say this team battles. They don't quit, and you got to give them some credit for that. Down to their final out, they end up putting 4 runs on the board and force the Royals to bring in their all-star closer, Carlos Estevez. So I really like the fight that the Marlins showed in that game. But at the end of the day, you take 2 out of 3 from another opponent. You've won back-to-back series now. You're 7 games under 500, 6 games under 500 right now. You're at a point where you look back to a season ago. It's completely different. This team is just playing good baseball, quality baseball. And it's really been going on now for the last month, pushing a month and a half since early June, as you mentioned. I really can't ask for much more than what they're doing right now, and it's awesome to watch.
Going into yesterday's game, Sunday's game, they had a winning percentage of .662. That's dropped a little bit here. But I think that was around the 5th best in baseball. Only the Blue Jays, the Red Sox, the Brewers, and the Astros were above them. They've been the 5th best team since June 6th. And it's really nice to see that way they're playing, they're gelling, they're facing adversity through injuries, losing Norby. A lot of their pitching has been out. You almost lost Cabrera to an extended period of time. Unfortunately, he's supposed to pitch tomorrow, Tuesday, for us versus San Diego, which you'll get into that series. It's just they're playing really good baseball, and it's great to see the way they're doing it in all different aspects. And when you're down by 7, the old Mattingly days, Don Mattingly, when he was the manager here, he would say if they were down by 7, yeah, we're probably going to lose that game. Call Contrell, our manager, Clayton McCullough, not Call Control. Clayton McCullough is a totally different mindset where he's saying, look, and it comes off of where Skip was. We played to the end. It doesn't matter how much we're down by. We're going to play to the end, and that's something beautiful about this team on Sunday.
Right now, this team is sitting 7.5 games out of the wild card, 46-52, and we're just 11 days away from the trade deadline. And in the next segment, LMF and I are going to talk about what we would do if we were in charge of the Marlins front office approaching, this deadline. It's a big time of the year for this organization. That's coming up right after this. Get the supplies you need made for the site, made for the skilled trades. Supplied House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. And if you or a family member or a friend want to check out their website, it's got everything you need. They got over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, and they deliver fast from coast to coast. If you're a trade professional looking for an extra edge, they got a free Trade Master program with exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals are already taking advantage, so now it's your turn. Go over, join the Trademaster program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. And also, as a bonus, you can use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. There we go. LMF is back. I appreciate all the everyday listeners out there making Locked On Marlins a part of your daily routine. Be sure to share the podcast with your friends, with your family, with all Marlins fans. And now we're talking about the trade deadline. 11 days away. What would we do if we were in charge of this team heading into a crucial point in the year? There's some major decisions that have to be made. I put out a tweet earlier that just kind of dictates my blueprint, if you will, for this organization. And it's pretty simple. I think they need to hold Sandy Alcantara. I don't think you trade him right now because he's at his lowest value. I said on the Fish on First live stream a couple days ago, if Sandy has 2 great starts, then I think he gets traded. And what I meant by great was vintage Cy Young Sandy, 7-8 inning shutouts. It didn't happen. It's not happening this year. No reason to trade him. No reason to sell low on, one of the faces of your franchise as poor as he's pitched this season. The second part that I'm going to mention, the obvious sells. Anthony Bender, Jesus Sanchez, and Cal Quantrill. Quantrill's on an expiring contract. Anthony Bender has a couple years of control, but he's pitched really well. I think there's some value there. And then with Jesus Sanchez, it just feels like this is the year he gets traded. He's not part of the future long-term for the Marlins. Now, here's the caveat to all of this. Those prospects those players that I mentioned aren't going to bring you a significant return. The players that will bring you a significant return, Edward Cabrera and Ronnie Enriquez. And I said, take calls on them. You can listen and see what teams are offering, but don't trade them unless the prospect package you get is a clear overpay and extremely overwhelming that you can't pass it up. And that's where I stand right now, a couple weeks away.
I am right there with you on some of those moves. If I'm GM, if Loud Miami fan, Loud Marlins fan, LMF is the GM, the decision maker, the ultimate guy here. Here's what I'm doing. I'm calling up the Tigers. I'm calling up the Dodgers in this order. I'm calling up the Cubs, calling up the Padres and the Mets. And I'm saying, here's Edward Cabrera. He's healthy. He's having the best year. He has 3 years left of control. What is your offer? And if I'm talking to the Tigers and Jasu Briano, I think that's how you pronounce his name, if he's not included, I'm hanging up. I'm calling the Dodgers, and if their best third base prospect and first base prospect is not on that phone call, I'm hanging up. And I'm going down that list doing the same thing. Edward Cabrera could bring us back a hole. He can. And you don't want, we discussed this 2 weeks ago, we don't want what happened with Luzardo to happen again with Edward. You don't want to do it too early. You don't want to do it too late. Is it too early? I don't think so. You see, even already with the little elbow issue he doesn't have, that was scary enough. That should show you, got to do it now when it's available. Regarding Sandy, I spoke with Sandy yesterday at the selfie day on Sunday at the ballpark. I just said, keep your head up, play your game, and block out all the noise. He knows, right? He's not oblivious to what's going on. I want to hold Sandy. I want to hold Sandy for the whole contract. I want him to be part of our winning seasons in the next 2 years. Probably won't happen. Jesus Sanchez, I'm calling up the Padres, and I'm going, hey, you need an outfielder? Got one for you. You could hit out of San Diego in that right field, get some bombs out of that ballpark, see what they offer. You have the history with them. You can definitely rock them out of Wrigley with the Cubs. I think those are the 2 best fits for Jesus. And the reason you have to do it, you have to trade Sanchi for 2 reasons. He doesn't have that many years of control left, and he's expensive. He's 4.5 this year. That may get up to 6.5 next year. But you have Marcy. You got to make room for Marcy to come up. I met Derek Hill yesterday. Seems like a nice dude, but you got to DFA him. You got to make room for these players. Can they trade Fortes? That's a name. Someone needs a catcher, right? I think he would be a great fit for a backup in Baltimore, right? You don't need a Stallings. You don't need an Alex Jackson, who they have. You need Nick Fortes on that team to back up their great catcher. And what these moves will do, that frees up another roster spot. You don't bring up Joe Mack if you need him. You don't bring him up. You bring up another position. And our favorite player, hashtag free Troy.
But what I really want to emphasize, and those were good points, is that right now, this team, are they competing? Yes. They're right on the outskirts of the wild card. It's exciting baseball. They're playing good baseball, but I don't think they're in a position to buy. They should not be trading top prospects. Let me emphasize that. There's not going to be a trade this deadline where Thomas White is moved, where Joe Mack is moved, where a player like Starlin Caba even is moved. None of that's going to happen. What you can do, and it's not like a complete teardown where when you're selling completely, I would be saying Cabrera's gone. I want him traded ASAP. No matter what, we trade Cabrera. Anybody with value should be off this team. I don't care. And I'm not saying that because there's a world in which you make these smart moves, deal the expiring contract if you can in Quantrill, see what you get back from Sanchez while still keeping your core together. Kyle Stowers isn't going anywhere. Augustine Ramirez isn't going anywhere. This team has a young core in place. Now it's about adding to it. And like you said, Jacob Marcy. Marcy should be up fairly soon. Jacob Marcy is on fire. I would be shocked if Jacob Marcy isn't called up by the start of September. So that's where I am. It's a trade deadline in which you're selling pieces, but you're not tearing it down. This isn't like last year, and you're being smart about it. Identify who's going to be part of the future, and right now they've done a good job. You see the emergence of Stowers, all-star, great player. Augustine Ramirez, great player. Needs to work on his defense. Guess what? You got Joe Mack waiting in the wings. So this deadline, I trust Peter Bendix to make some smart moves. We could have a couple surprising ones. And what they do, there's going to be a reason for that because they're watching the product on the field that we're watching. And this team is closer to competing than they were last year. I truly think in 2026, this team could push for a wild card if all goes well and you avoid the injury bug. I really do.
I hope you could still hear me. I think I lost signal for a second there, but if you can, think you can. Here, I'm signing a contract right now with you guys live. If Stowers gets traded in 2025, I will never wear the LMF hat again. All right. That's how confident I am that Stowers will not be dealt. This is not something we as Marlin fans and Marlin supporters and media and whatnot have to pull ourselves out of our butts away from a time in the past where we're used to everyone being sold. We're never keeping anyone. That's not how winning baseball happens. We know that, but it's not like that anymore. This front office is used to running a team with a lower payroll, but having a winning franchise. And I'm talking about winning at A, double A, triple A, and in the majors. They may not win the World Series every year, but they're going to compete every year. And the way to do that is have a lot of talent. And we're not trading away the talent that our front office brought in the last 12 months. Yeah, it's been about 12 months since the trades have happened. If you want to go 14 months, including the Arise trade that brought in a lot of talent. But this is not that. And if you're jaded and you're hurt from stuff in the past, please move forward from it. Listen, they may not extend Stowers this year. That's not what you do when a guy has a month or 2 months great of baseball. You let it play out, especially when you have control for 4 years. The guy's not in arbitration until 2027. It's not 2026. He's still pre-arb next year. He's not expensive. He's the minimum. Now, guys like Yuri, guys like Augustin, they're very young. They're not 28 years old. You have to extend them at some point in the next couple of years, especially Yuri. But point being, you're right. This team is not selling off good prospects to bring in top talent to help us win this year. We're 6 games, 7 games under 500 right now. We are 7.5, I think, out of the wild card or in the division, one of the two, even farther out. We're not winning this year. Let's get that through our heads. We could go on a large run. We could win 10 of the next 12, and we're not winning this year. Okay? The Dodgers, the Mets, the Padres, the Phillies, they're so far ahead of us that no matter if we bring in 1 or 2 bats, another pitcher, it's not going to help us get over the hump. And I'll stop
Well,
there.
let me jump in real quick because I do want to say it's not even just about the prospects. What I'm saying is you don't trade from your established talent now. I've
Mhm.
seen the last month or so, and now it's died down because Kyle Stowers has been on an all-time heater. People were saying trade Stowers. People were saying trade Weathers. And the way I look at it is really simple. At some point, you have to build. You have to build around what you have on the roster, what is in your system. It's not, I'm tired of the cycle, the constant cycle of trading everybody with value. That's why I say, yes, you trade some pieces. You can move some guys, but you're not trading somebody that's going to be part of your future. Kyle Stowers, Augustine, they're part of your future. Ryan Weathers, part of your future. I know he's dealt with injuries. I believe in him. Do you believe in him?
I believe when healthy, Weathers could be a top ace pitcher on your team, a 1 or 2, a 1B, a 2A. He's a great pitcher. He showed it. He showed it in spring. He showed it
Yep.
when he gets on the mound last season when he was on the mound. But he has to stay healthy. So yes, he's a part of the future. But you also have other guys that are part of the future, like Marcy, that's waiting to come up.
Marcy.
That's why you get rid of Asanchi. You have Joe Mack ready to come up to be your backup, and you move Augustine somewhere else next year, right? And whatnot. And then you have Liam Hicks, and you have Joe Mack as your 1-2 catching tandem. You have to have the talent behind you to be brought up, and that's something the Marlins have not had in the past. Now they do. Now you start
And
seeing that work.
I wanted to say about Cabrera going to him, much like Ryan Weathers, young pitcher. Although he's been up here for a little bit. He's not necessarily young in age, but with the control he still has an additional 2 or 3 years of control left, 2 years of control. There's no rush to trade him now. Like I said, if everything breaks right for the Marlins, I know we disagree about this a little bit, but I think the Marlins could compete in 26. Who knows? They could go on a magical run this season and sneak into the wild card. I'm going to dream. I'm going to be rooting for a win every single night until we're eliminated. And I see that E next to our name in the standings. I want this Marlins team to win. That's how I am. Cabrera, like I said, you don't trade him unless you are clearly getting the better end of the deal. And I think major league ready talent as well, not just guys who are 4 or 5 years apart, because Cabrera could be part of this rotation moving forward. I truly believe the emergence of Edward Cabrera and Ronnie Enriquez, those guys are for real. It's not just a flash in the pan. Now, we gotta move on, talk about the attendance, because this was a big part over this weekend. The Marlins had over 46,000 in attendance for this weekend series against the Royals. It's the most attendance they've had over a 3-game stretch all season, besides opening day and Atlanta, I believe, earlier this year. So we're going to talk about that and what winning does for a franchise and the fan base right after this. Summer sports are in full swing, and whether you're all about baseball under the lights, golf on the green, or high-stakes soccer action, FanDuel is the best way to make every game more exciting. you're already following the action. So why not make it a little more thrilling? Because with FanDuel, you can get in on the game while your friends are getting sunburned on the beach or falling off jet skis or whatever activity they're doing. FanDuel is a great way to track your favorite matchups. The app keeps it fresh with new daily promotions and fun ways to bet. One of the best parts about FanDuel, it's fast, easy payouts. You're gonna get paid. There's no waiting around for that, and it makes those regular season matchups, those just monotonous games that don't really mean anything, feels like a Super Bowl, a World Series, because you got money on the line. So whether you're placing a same game parlay or watching a bet right into the ninth inning, FanDuel will make it feel like you're part of the action. If you're new to FanDuel, new customers can bet just $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if your first bet wins. Open the FanDuel app today or visit FanDuel.com to get started. A reminder that Locked On Marlins, you can listen to it wherever you get your podcasts, all the major podcast platforms, as well as watch it on YouTube. And if you are watching on YouTube, hit that subscribe button for me. The fans will come to the ballpark. They're going to be there when the team is winning. I truly believe that, and I'm going to maintain that as long as the Marlins, play good baseball. The fans care, and they're going to start to buy in. What I loved about this past weekend, and I'm going to read this, the attendance this past weekend at Marlins at Lone Depot Park, 46,953. And that's the most attendance, excluding their opening series against Pittsburgh and Atlanta. And I got that from Isaac Azoot. Great coverage over at Fish on First. I think that's a positive. I know it doesn't compare to the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Cubs, but you know what? It's a step in the right direction. And that's what I'm looking for, is fans slowly buying in. I did a podcast a week or so ago with Anthony A. He works at Lone Depot Park in a Fanatic store there. He said they hadn't sold jerseys all season. They just didn't have any. No Stowers jerseys, no Ramirez jerseys. Guess what he sent me a picture of? A Kyle Stowers jersey. They're at the ballpark now. That's what fans want. They want a player they can get behind. They want a team that they can get behind and root for. Even if it doesn't mean playoffs this season, they're building something, and it's trending in the right direction.
It's beautiful. It was there on Sunday. It was packed. It was loud. It was loud on Saturday. It was loud on Friday. You brought up the attendance over 46,000. Going back to June 6th or June 4th, 3rd, and 2nd, there was a total of 19,785 fans over a three-day series against the Rockies. You have doubled that over the time, and that's beautiful. It's great that South Florida wants to get out there. It's nice that they finally have players' names on their jerseys. Just the fact that they put Stowers' name on the jersey should show you fans that they're not getting him off this team via trade in 2025 or 26. It's a great thing because that place gets loud. And if you watched on Sunday in the ninth inning when we were down by 7, it was still loud. And as it got louder, as they started putting runners on base and they started the almost comeback, it got really loud. And the players feed off that energy. So congratulations, Miami, South Florida. We love baseball. We breathe baseball. It's 32 years, almost 33 years of baseball in South Florida. But you know what they love above baseball? They love winning. And this team is winning. So as long as they're winning, the fans should come out to support this young team. This is your team moving forward. Enjoy it. Get used to it. They're not going anywhere soon.
I had a direct message from FinsUp3000, and I wanted to read this because it excited me. I was pumped up after reading this message. He said, "Thought you would appreciate this. I'm also a Devils fan and follow this Devils account who's relatively big. He happened to be in Miami and decided to go to the game even though he's not a Marlins fan. He tweeted that it was awesome there at the stadium. The fans seriously brought it this weekend." So a fan that just decided to go to the baseball game, a sports fan, but not a Marlins fan by any mean stretch of the imagination. He's not going to exaggerate the environment that he's seeing. He's saying, dude, this is awesome. This crowd is into it. It's a great atmosphere. When I went to the stadium a couple months ago, I was amazed at how beautiful it was, how clean it was. I was like, baseball should thrive here. And we're seeing early results. It's early. This is year one of the rebuild. Really, if you think about it, year one where we're getting, results in. We traded everybody at the deadline. Arias was gone in May. We had Brian De La Cruz shipped out of here. Bullpen pieces shipped out of here. The team was decimated. They had to call up players from the minors to field a roster for a game. Everything was gone. And now, sitting here on July, in mid-July, late July, the Marlins are at a position now where fans are noticing them. And they're saying, we're seeing something positive happen. Winning can happen. And winning will happen. I am confident that this team is going to be in the playoffs sooner rather than later. I am confident that there's not going to be this huge teardown where fans are rebelling and dejected. And I'm pretty confident I don't have to wear a paper bag over my head on the podcast again with LMF. I love this team, man.
It's a very, as I've said before, very fun, competitive team to watch. They just gel well together. And for those fans who are worried about what am I going to do with the kids? Kids get bored at baseball. Not on Sundays, guys. Bring the kids out to Sunday Fun Day. Beautiful Sundays. They have clowns painting faces, pictures with Billy, and the kids get to run the bags at the end of the game. The rest of the time, it's for us adults and us drinking and having fun. And the party atmosphere, of course, don't drink and drive. But in reality, baseball's so much fun to watch. It's sped up. It's not like the old times where you're there for 5 hours waiting for one game to end. It ends within 3 hours. If it goes over 2:45, it's a surprise now, 2:50. So come out. It's great that you have. And this team is your team, right? Get used to it. Get used to these players, these pitchers. Yes, Cabrera may be gone, maybe Sandy, maybe some of the bullpen guys, but the majority of this team is young. They're hungry. And if you looked at the way they drafted for the near future, not the far away future in drafting all college guys.
Yeah, that's a great point. The college guys hopefully can accelerate through this system fairly quickly. If you haven't already, after you watch this, go check out eventually the podcast I did with Alex Carver, Marlins Miners, over on Twitter. We did a rundown of the draft. Good episode. Lots of information in there. This team, I love them. I love this Marlins team. I love the Marlins. I always have. I always will. I know I'm in Arizona, but there's no fear that I'm going to become a Diamondbacks fan. Yeah, I'll go to the games. I'll check them out. But you better believe when the Marlins are playing the Diamondbacks, I'm going to be either covering the game or wearing my Marlins gear from head to toe. LMF, it's always great to talk with you on the pod, my friend.
Yes, thank you for having me. It's great to be back. Let's get louder.
That's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Marlins. And until next time, guys, stay safe, stay locked on, and let's go fish.